Hello and welcome to the channel. And today I'm really excited because we're going to be looking at a super cool new feature on AWS. I'm not great with AWS, so I have Cal Kadourah with me, who is a bit more knowledgeable. I don't think anyone's super great with AWS, are they, Cal?
It's a work in progress.
So, Cal, why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
Sure. My name is Cal Kadourah. I am a solution specialist with VMware. I've been with VMware for close to 4 years. I come by background with .NET consulting, focused on Microsoft technologies, and very recently been working with Kubernetes and focused within our area of the Tanzu and all the different offerings within Tanzu product stack and VMware.
Awesome. Alrighty. So we're going to do TAP on AWS, aren't we? And that came out a few weeks ago. So I guess first we should explain what TAP is. Tanzu Application Platform.
Tanzu Application Platform. It's a set of components that sit on top of Kubernetes, and it allows application developers and operators to deploy their workloads, different type of workloads, Java workloads, .NET Core workloads, and have those kind of deployed to Kubernetes and then managed to Kubernetes. Kubernetes is a great foundation, but deploying applications and managing day-to operations can be a bit complex. So Tanzu Application Platform and TAP makes it easier to manage those workloads. There is the assumption that you should have knowledge about Kubernetes, when leveraging TAP, because we are leveraging TAP concepts. We're using kind of the TAP workload, so you'll hear me kind of referencing quite a bit of Kubernetes terminology. And if you don't know, that's okay. I didn't know initially, and then you just kind of find a way through it. But TAP makes that process streamlined to take your application, run it through kind of supply chain like a set of stages to scan the images, run the test, and then ultimately get kind of your application deployed, whether that's a web API, whether it's a front end application, a microservice, where have you. I'm giving you a big high level kind of overview of TAP, but by all means, as we go through it, I'm hoping that Leila will ask more questions, and I can delve in at specific areas to clarify. So let me clarify just to kind of. So TAP sits on top of any Kubernetes distribution.
Okay.
Whether that's on the cloud, whether that's kind of on-prem, Amazon, Azure, you name it. Wherever there's Kubernetes, TAP can sit on top of it, because it just leverages Kubernetes under the cover. But the steps has been to install TAP, and it's pretty lengthy. You have to go through a series of installation steps and kind of install a number of CLI, and you can do that. That's great. Even now we support air gapped kind of installation. But the TAP Quick Start came about. And what that is the ability to leverage AWS kind of a wizard, which is like 2 or 3 steps. You supply a number of parameters, and it goes through all of those steps, essentially condensing that manual kind of process, which might kind of take maybe some hours. It will just take hopefully less than an hour, and all you have to do is just go through that wizard, because we all love wizards. And it will install the TAP end-to-end for you and make it available for you.
And this sticks it on top of Amazon's Kubernetes offering, which is Elastic Kubernetes Service, isn't it? So
yes,
that's it. Do you want to give us a like a walkthrough of what we're going to do if I share your screen?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. So I am at the public kind of the page, the Tanzu Application Platform, and just to recap, you have multiple options for install and tap. You could kind of do it kind of the step way. You could do it in an air gapped. This is kind of if you have a disconnected environment still in beta, or you could leverage the AWS Quick Start. We like things to be easy, so we will be looking at the Quick Start. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of open this in a new tab, and what that happens is it takes you to an AWS page that basically shows you kind of how the steps to deploy tap on AWS. So kind of has a bit of a kind of steps and information, and then pretty much kind of supported on the AWS stack. And then you could just click on it. I might need to kind of log in, and then just go through the installation. I'm not logged in, but it's not giving me the option. So I'm going to go to the how to deploy. Yep. You could choose a new VPC. In our case, we're just going to use like a new environment. Again, we're dealing with all of kind of AWS concepts, which we'll be kind of going over kind of very shortly. So the beautiful thing about Tap Quick Start, you don't really have to worry much about what happens under the cover. You will be you will own it, but all of this becomes ready for you. There's a template, kind of the Tap template available, and we go over it in a little bit, but all the configuration gets ready, gets provisioned. It's makes it super convenient for you to leverage and to use Tap out of the box.
Oh, that seems pretty cool. So I happen to have an AWS account.
Okay. Okay.
Do you think we would be able to get this installed
Sure.
online? Shall we give it a go? Okay.
Let's give it a go. Yeah.
All right. So folks, if you want to see all of Cal's instructions, everything is on this GitHub link, which will be in the description below or on the link that you can see on screen right now. So you can come on here and have a look at lots of instructions. And we're kind of going to be following this through here. If we do anything different, we will update this.
Yes.
So if I click on this link, this takes me direct to that application page, right?
Yes.
So I guess I need to sign in.
Actually, I did notice if you just, you already signed in, but if you
go. Cool. So where do I go now? Do I type in here?
No, let's go back, because we're going to go back to that link. We'll go to how to deploy.
Right.
Okay, and then we're going to deploy to a new VPC. Yes.
And is that a virtual PC? A VPC?
I don't know what the acronym stand for. Virtual something.
Okay.
It's an AWS terminology. It is not a virtual.
And there's a lot of acronyms, so we're going to wing it with those.
Yeah.
All right. So.
Okay. And
where are you going to go? Let me zoom in a little bit on that.
Yeah. Now this kind of gives you all the templates. Everything is pre-filled for you. The template is ready. Let's scroll down a little bit just to see, make sure. And we have the Amazon S3. So you don't really need to do anything in here because everything is pre-filled for you.
That's pretty cool.
Yes.
So
we're gonna
just
go ahead.
Next. Okay.
Now, again, I'm learning AWS myself as I go. So some of those terminologies are specific to AWS. A stack name, basically, just kind of a collection of artifacts. And in this case, we're just going to leave the default VMware Tanzu Application Platform. And then we'll go to next. So you have to have a VMware kind of Tanzu network account.
Okay.
This is so we can download the images from and kind of the artifacts from VMware, and then make sure that we get the proper licensing in place. So first, we're gonna click yes to the policies. Make sure you click yes. Yes. All right. And then is for network. I'm gonna make sure network.pivotal.io. Do you have your username and password handy by any chance?
Okay. All right. We've got that.
Okay.
And
Yep.
then
And then let's go back to network.tanzu.vmware.com.
all right, I'll do that off screen.
Okay. And then under your username, yeah.
Now I'll need to sign in, right?
Yes.
I'm in. Okay.
And then under username, there should be like an edit profile.
UAA API token. Is that what we want? Yes.
That is what we want. Yes.
I have one. And
yeah, it
all
should
right.
have -r at the end.
It does.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. We are going to choose. Yeah, we can keep that as no. We can keep the version as 1.2.0. So this is kind of the configuration, and it's right now its supported version is 1.2. And then we're going to give it a domain name. So this is doesn't have to be necessarily a public domain name.
Okay.
But what you could do is, and I'm going to confirm what I have, so bear with me. So you could do something like tab dot whatever domain, like Layla's Adventures or Layla.com or
My one, Layla.dev. There we go.
yes. Okay. It will deploy. We'll leave that Java application. We're
Okay.
going to deploy a different application. Basic configurations. So we will need a minimum of 3 availability zones. This is where when it kind of installs the images, I usually select the first 3. That works. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the key pair is we will need a key pair to kind of do the SSH, do the connectivity. So we're going to go and create an EC2 key pair, basically a
Alrighty.
security key.
I'll go into another page of AWS.
Yeah.
And I guess search for key pair. Okay, and then just create.
Yes.
Okay.
And then you can name it like tab key pair.
Okay, this is just like so I know which one this is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't like to put spaces in my. Oh, it can include. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
I will listen to you and I will hyphenate it.
Okay. And I looked at the requirements. It does need to be RSA.
Okay.
And when I confirm, I'm just looking at my screen to make sure that because I created mine a while ago.
Yeah.
I did mine as PEM.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
We can do that.
And then we are going to create a key pair.
Alrighty, let's go.
There is a small problem, and you're not gonna like me for it.
All right.
Which I have. It is created, and that is great. But now, when you go back to that tab, the drop down will not automatically be pre-populated, which means you might have to click screen refresh. So
on this one.
Yeah, like I was hoping it will you could just click and it will show up, and it won't show up. You're gonna have to click F5. So when refresh,
no!
yeah. So you will, I don't know if this will. Yeah, see, it lets you type, but yeah, it won't take it. So.
All right, let's go. Refresh. And now we can get our key pair. And then remote access CIDR. Do we need something in there?
Yes, I learned that the hard way that you definitely need something in there. So I'm not much of a network person, but I know what you need to put in is 0.0.
You have this listed. This one.
Yes, yes, yes.
I knew I'd seen that somewhere. So let's go back here
And
and pop that in.
one thing I'll tell you is there is like if you don't type anything in, you will not get a warning saying you have to fill it.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay. So
So
we've got that.
yeah, okay. Same thing with the EK. This is the actual cluster, the Kubernetes cluster. Maybe you can do tab dash cluster or tab dash.
Okay. So this is going to create our Kubernetes stuff for Tap
Yes,
to sit on top of.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
cool. So we
And
can talk about all of those things. Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. And it you skipped through it, but I'm just gonna go up a little bit.
Yeah,
It
go
does
for it.
also the Kubernetes version is 1.22. I think right now Kubernetes is up to version 1.25, but this is currently the version that is kind of available with the installation. Again, you don't have to worry much about that. The wizard, the quick start does all of that stuff for you. Provisions the instances. It has been tested. So the default is totally okay. It's totally great.
Alrighty.
And right now, yep. Now you go to the Linux Bastion machine. So I you told me before the kind of the about the Bastion, but I'm going to use the term jump box because it's easier for me to kind of just say. So part of the quick start, it provisions two VMs, two virtual machines, a
Okay.
Windows and a Linux jump box. A jump box is uh, just a way, like a gateway for you to kind of connect to the private network of TAP and all the resources that are provisioned by TAP, and including the Kubernetes installation and where have you. So the Linux one has all of the tools. Will install the Tanzu CLI tooling, the kubectl, a lot of the prerequisites for you to deploy a workload and to list a workload. So that makes it easier. The Windows jump box allows you to access the user interface of TAP. TAP comes with a user interface. If you remember at the top, you put in kind of a TAP, kind of a domain name. That
Yeah.
domain name is not public. So if you go to the internet and type in Layla.dev, probably, but if you go to that jump box, that domain name will be writable, will be accessible.
Cool.
In a corporate kind of large scale environments, you might choose to do things a little bit differently and then expose some of those kind of some of those domains to the outside world. There will be some additional configuration for this setup. Everything is private, and kind of has a bit more control. And the jump boxes are used for you to connect and to deploy the workloads. But again, we're kind of choosing, we're kind of the easy route, and then later on, we will just figure out how we could just kind of grow into that.
Cool.
And then we go, everything else is okay.
S3 bucket is blob storage, I
Yes,
think, isn't it?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know where the
Okay.
term S3 comes from, but yeah.
No. Right. Are we ready to go next?
We're gonna go next. Yes.
Okay.
And this, all what this does, it just are the kind of verification. There is nothing here for you to do. You just click next.
Hurrah.
And yeah, and then this is more of kind of validation. We're kind of assuming everything is great. The beautiful thing about the kind of the quick start, it creates everything under one single stack. Kind of collection of resources, so you can see the output, see the and even when you delete it, you can delete that stack and it can delete everything underneath it. I will admit a disclaimer, I am learning AWS myself, so some of those I have happened to learn as I've been working with it recently.
Cool. Well, I am really happy that you're sharing what you've learned with me, Cal. So I've ticked these boxes and we're going to create stack, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And now the process will start. It will
And that's it.
roughly take hopefully about sometimes 30 minutes, sometimes 35 minutes. But the beautiful thing about it, it will go through all of those tap installation steps. It will create your cluster. It will install the CLI. It'll deploy the workload, and then you get to enjoy kind of the luxury of having tap on your environment, and then take advantage of it.
Cool. Well, we're not going to make you all sit here for 35 minutes while my instance deploys.
Yes.
Cal has one ready.
Yes.
So we're going to flip over to your machine now, Cal, where you have a instance ready to deploy a
Yes.
workload to, right?
Yes.
Alrighty.
Yes. Yes.
Let's see how we
Yes.
do that.
Yeah, I'm back to my, installing Tanzu platform tab. So I have mentioned about the Windows jump boxes and the Linux jump boxes. So I have logged into my Windows jump box, and hoping you can see my screen.
Yeah.
After tab installed out of the box, you get kind of the graphical user interface. In my case, the URL that I have put in is tab dash v9. You can see how many attempts I have tried with tab. Um, and that is the user interface that allows you to kind of take a look at the workloads. So I'm gonna go to the left and go to the supply chain, and there's a sample workload. Remember, if you remember, there was a drop
I
down that had
do.
a
Yeah.
Java app. And then the Java app, it has a supply chain, and supply chain basically are a set of steps that when you deploy a workload, it takes through those validation, and it kind of validates the source, it scans the images. You can build your own supply chain. You can customize your own supply chain. This is part of an organization deploying workloads to tap. Want to make sure that it's secured, that it's manageable, that it's not just you're pushing the apps. If you're familiar with Kubernetes and try to deploy workloads to tap, you deploy to raw Kubernetes without tap, you will realize the struggle that comes with it to make sure that kind of set up the configuration, the ingress, egress tab pretty much simplifies all of that for you, and that gets tied up, and that gets to the supply chain. So in this case, we have a supply chain out of the box, kind of that is configured, and runs a source to image builder. You don't have to build the images. It's something we'll talk about later. Kind of this, the Tanzu CLI does that for you. But long story short, you're able to just see what all the different steps, in this, from source to image.
That's
What we're
great. And we'll put instructions on how to log into this virtual machine or jump box
Yes, yes,
on the GitHub repo,
yes,
which is the link I keep just popping up there, where
yes,
all of the instructions for this are. So you'll
yes,
find the link to that in there, folks.
yes. And I will add notes, so we can make sure we kind of show folks how to log into the jump boxes. So this is the Windows machine, the Windows VM. Next thing, we are going to SSH to the Linux VM. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my so I left to use my Windows terminal, and I have a WSL on Windows, and that allows me to kind of take advantage of the kind of the Ubuntu kind of commands, and and just on my Windows VMs. So I am going to go back to my kind of steps on and just show
Okay.
what needs to be done. So next step is you in the outputs of the stack, of the stack GUI, you will get a number of configuration about kind of how to log into your jump box. So let me quickly go to my other screen, and I'm going to show you one quick thing. So bear with me. I'm opening my AWS console, and I'm
Yeah.
going to go to my EC2. And then I'm going to go to my instances. And again, you have the Windows VM, and then we have the Linux VM. Just a quick kind of clarification. If you want it to connect to the Windows VM, AWS makes it super easy. Click on connect. You download an RDP, remote desktop file, and then you
Yeah.
get the password. Click the get password. I'm not going to click on it, but when you click get password, it asks you for that key that you created, and that just show you the password on
In the
a
key pairs, that one.
yes,
Oh, and then you just use that remote
yes,
desktop file in
yes,
your remote desktop application. Oh, that's
yes,
cool.
yes. Yeah, you choose the key pair, and that shows
Yeah.
you the password, and now you're able to log in. Same thing now, logging into Linux is a little bit different. You also can do SSH. So I have the SSH ready. What I'm going to
Okay.
do is I'm going to go to my VM, and hopefully I have the command ready. So SSH, and then I have the key pair. And I noticed this IP, that is a public IP for that VM, and it's kind of that command. Again, this is highlighted on my GitHub, but
Mm-hmm.
we'll click next, and that allows us. It succeeded. We are now kind of connected to that VM, and we could just list. I'm going to run that command, Tanzu apps workload. So basically, because we're leveraging that jump box that is already provisioned by the quick start, it already has the Tanzu CLI. This is a command line interface that allows you to deploy workloads. So you don't have to individually install those kind of commands, or packages. So I have run the command Tanzu apps workload list, and I will put a link, how what the command does in the documentation, and it shows me just the current workload that is available today is Tanzu Java Web App workload.
And that's what we saw in the GUI, wasn't it? That
That
one. And
is
that's
what we
the
saw in the GUI.
default. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. I'm gonna go back to my steps, so bear with me. All right. Um, so now what we're going to do is we're gonna go and deploy a sample accelerator. So might be wondering what is an accelerator. It is just a set of kind of ready code available for you to deploy to tab. It's like best practices. We have a number of accelerator for different languages. In this case, we're leveraging the smallest, the simplest accelerator. It's just a .NET web API that has kind of steel toe associated with it, and just makes it easier for us to deploy an application. I'm gonna go ahead and click and show you just what we are deploying. Uh, it's a simple kind of RESTful API application decorated with a steel toe package. Steel toe is a kind of another kind of a NuGet package that just makes things like dynamic logging and management endpoints available for you. You don't have to use it, but this is kind of what comes with the accelerator, and then also comes decorated with some configuration on how to deploy some of that workload to to tap. There's a workload.yaml. So that kind of gives you a starting point if you're building your application.
So it's always the YAML files and all of those sort of DevOps based things that I struggle with as a developer. I can get all the code ready, but then when I need to put these sort of configuration files for deployment in, I'm like, I don't know what it's supposed to be. So this is really cool that we have it ready to go.
Yes. I as you were talking, I went to config and to workload.yaml. Again, deploying workloads to Kubernetes is not it's not a simple task. For those that have really done it, you will see that there is a lot of wiring and a lot of configuration and a lot of YAML. And if you're like me, you do a lot of typos. YAML is not my strongest forte.
It's indent like formatting makes my head explode.
Yes. Why can't we just do traditional XML, or J? Anyways, it's a different story.
We digress.
Yes. So the accelerator has those YAML ready for you. You're able to and it's a simple, much smaller kind of YAML. And there is a number of kind of configurations and things that makes you or allows you to take advantage of tap. I'll be honest, I don't know what all of them do, because we're still learning, but a lot of them kind of, for example, live view, or workload type, but it's a lot simpler than just learning, the raw Kubernetes. And this is not introducing something foreign. This is building on top of the Kubernetes base. So, it's just simplifying and making things easier. So it's not like you are learning something completely new. You're complementing your learning. The having Kubernetes knowledge for tap is essential, because that is the foundation. But you don't have to learn and to know all the different components. We just want you to approach it from kind of developer kind of view, and then focus at the things that matter to you most. Okay,
sounds good.
So I'm going to go back to to kind of the steps. So in this case, I just did a git clone, and I run that command.
So you're cloning this onto the box.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I have already actually cloned it because I had deployed before, so it's already available. But yeah, what I am doing is this is one approach. There's definitely different approaches. One thing is, you might want to kind of plug in your supply chain to your kind of your GitHub repo, and then but the approach that I'm just doing here is I'm cloning it, downloading it to my jump box, and then I'm going to just publish that workload to tap. Okay. Again, we're trying to promote enterprise ready concepts, meaning this supply chain is there not just to consume your workload, but to follow all the steps, to secure, to scan, to test, and in this case, I'm downloading the source code to the jump box, and then I'm going to deploy that workload.
And we're not going to containerize it, are we? We don't have to do any of that. We don't have to worry about like a Docker file or doing any of that. All of that is handled via the pipeline, right?
All of that is handled, by the Tanzu CLI, and there could be another topic about Tanzu build service. We'll table that for another discussion. But you don't have to worry much about that. You simply provide the workload.yaml. You provide certain parameters, and you say here is what I want you to take my source code. I really don't care what how you do it, but just I want to focus as a developer on building code, and then you deploy it for me to my environment. And in this case, my environment is Kubernetes, and tap is like the umbrella on top of that.
Cool.
I'm gonna go this, copy that command, and we're gonna go to, so basically we're saying Tanzu apps workload. This is the command style that we'll be running. You know, it's apply, and we're saying that workload.yaml, and then we're supplying some additional parameters. I will add a link, you know, in that GitHub to some of those kind of helpful commands and what they do, and then we are deploying to that particular namespace in Kubernetes. You know, every kind of thing is broken Kubernetes by namespaces, and we'll click, and it looks like we did not go into the directory of the
Oh, you
GitHub.
didn't CD into it,
I did
right?
not know. Yeah.
And one thing to point out is that the Tanzu CLI comes ready installed on that jump box. So you notice that Cal hasn't installed that. That was already there, ready to use, as was Git. So I think,
Yes.
and also tools like kubectl,
Yep.
or as I like to call it, kubectl.
Yep.
We'll get that to catch on eventually.
Yes.
So all of those things are ready for you to go.
Yes, you're absolutely right. So I seeded to my steel toe weather forecast. I'm gonna click and click workload deploy. It has been created. It tells you kind of some of the things that are happening. I'm gonna go actually to my Windows VM, Windows jump box, and then just take a peek there. Go back to my supply chain. So I have my sample app. Okay. And I'm guessing it's taken a minute to provision. So it's gone through the source provider. It is going through the different supply chain steps. So it's kind of scanning the source, run some tests, building the image, the things that you don't have to do, you know, and we'll see. Kind of you can click on each individual step and see what all it does. We're gonna click, you know, F5, click and refresh. It is still running. I don't know about that error, I'll be honest, because I'm guessing it just maybe a little bit kind of cached, but we are going to give it just one minute. Gonna go back to sample app. It's still executing. I'm gonna go back to my SSH, and then I'm going to run kind of this command. And what that does, it just gives you the status of the application. It is in the process of building kind of the application, creating the pods, but you don't really have to worry much about kind of the Kubernetes concepts, but it is doing all of that, all of this under the cover work for you. Hopefully, what we want to do is eventually we want to get the status. I'm going to go to the status. Is that... It does say it's ready, but I want to confirm. So I'm going to go back. Oh, okay. And
the error is gone.
The error is gone. Yes. Yeah. You know, so some certain tweaks here and there sometimes. And it has gone through all of these steps to provision that application. Hopefully you could see my screen. Different steps. So if I go back to this URL, I'm gonna go back, click on it. Again, this URL is browsable from your jump box.
Yeah, yes. It's not exposed. Yeah.
Yes, this is a private network. Okay. Again, if you want to expose it to the outside, we want to make sure that it's there's some additional configuration either via VPN or where have you. Again, this is a super kind of simple. So we click on the Swagger. I did not
And
build
the
this app.
actuator there comes from SteelToe that provides a whole load
Yes.
of endpoints for health check monitoring.
Yes. If we go to the actuator, you can see you're right. That's what SteelToe gives you, kind of
Yeah.
just a heap dump, actuators, loggers, traces. I I have not run this application for a little while, so maybe I don't know. Oh, here it is. A simple
There
web
and there.
API weather forecast, and and there it is.
It's
And
minus 13 Celsius and warm,
yes,
apparently.
yes. Clearly, this is a very, very simple application, but we can take things a little bit more complex. But all the things that happens under the cover, creating the pods, creating the ingress, for folks that have deployed or tried to deploy applications to Kubernetes will get to appreciate that. You're literally taking the power of Kubernetes at your fingertips. And the limits are this is just the beginning. The scaling, um, you know kind of the visualization aspect of it, the debugging. There's more and more items to come, and we're just saying tap will kind of make that easier for you. To mention few disclaimers though. So I'm going to share my screen one more time. I have, because I had to deploy a .NET workload. There is TAP was tailored initially for kind of Java applications and Java tests, but to make it kind of applicable for .NET workloads, I did have to edit the pipeline. That's the pipeline that would deploy an application and runs part of the supply chain. It runs what's called a Maven. Maven is a specific executable that is specific for Java. Our team is aware of this and they're working on it. So bear with us. But I did have to kind of edit kind of the pipeline and then comment out that Java. I'll provide a bit more detailed instructions on kind of my GitHub, but I had to edit that. The reason I didn't have to do it. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I was exactly going to ask. You were going to answer it, so go ahead.
The reason I didn't do it during the kind of our discussions, because I had done it before, but we can actually go through it right now and kind of show you what that means, because I had kind of deployed that workload before. That's step number one. And number two, which is an EKS specific thing, you will need to add a repo to EKS. I am getting clarification about whether this is always required or this is a one-time, but we'll need to add those repos to EKS for your workloads. And I don't have all that information, but this is something that I'm getting additional details on. I'll provide a bit more instructions again in my GitHub. But those two items I had to do before, and I did them because I as a prerequisite. But we'll need to do them if you're specifically deploying your workloads.
Okay, so that will all, as Cal gets more clarification, this will all be updated. So keep checking to the GitHub repo where Cal has been documenting everything he has been doing today. And we'll have links to how to do things, or we'll explain it directly in this GitHub repo. So keep an eye on that. So is that kind of it, Cal?
Yeah, that's kind of the recap. That's like, I have this massive thing, Kubernetes. It's amazing. I want to deploy. You don't have to go through gazillion steps. TAP makes it, gives you that capability on top of it, not only to deploy but to manage. and now we've just deployed an application. Hopefully, as we do more videos, we'll show more and more features, of Tap, and then we'll be able to kind of dig a little bit further. There's things like debugging, live view, some instrumentation, some cool things. And again, would love for the audience to try the quick start. Let us know their feedback. What they think, what shouldn't work. All that stuff.
So that's been really awesome. I think having the quick start there, we love a wizard. It's made it pretty straightforward and take some of that intimidation away from using Kubernetes, using the Tanzu Application Platform, and has made it much more accessible to people like me, developers who don't really have the foggiest about DevOps. I'm like, my code just runs magically somewhere. That's how I feel about that. But that feels sort of achievable with a little bit of research and a little bit of work, for sure. Thank you so much. Let us know in the comments if you've tried this and how you feel about it, and just your general feedback. And Cal, thank you so much for
You're welcome.
coming on and sharing your knowledge. So yeah, thanks very much, folks. Goodbye.
Thank you.